Trusting in God in the morning can transform the day in a way that few can understand. When you surrender your steps to Him, something powerful happens. It is not just an act of faith, but an invitation to allow divine protection to guide every action, every thought. Remember Psalm 37:5. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do everything. This surrender is the first step to experiencing true protection, a security that goes beyond circumstances. Imagine waking up and instead of being swept away by the anxiety of what is to come, you pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and surrender your day to God. This simple yet profound practice creates a space where trust becomes the foundation of your actions. Instead of worrying about what you cannot control, you allow divine protection to take the reins. It is a process of letting go and trusting that, even amidst chaos, there is a greater plan at work. Stories of people who have lived this trust are inspiring. Think of Job, who even in the face of unimaginable losses maintained his faith in God. He had no control over his situation, but his trust in divine protection sustained him. What Job teaches us is that even when everything seems to crumble, surrendering to God brings a peace that the world cannot offer. This peace is the protection that surrounds us, even in times of crisis. In the face of a busy day, it is easy to lose focus. Responsibilities pile up, and pressure mounts. It is in this moment that the practice of trusting in God becomes a refuge. Instead of being swept away by the rush, you can pause, pray, and remember the promises of protection. In Philippians 4:6-7, the Bible teaches us not to be anxious but to present our requests to God. This surrender is not just about asking, but about trusting that He is already working, even before you realize it. Trusting in God is not a one-time act, but a daily commitment. Each morning upon waking, it is a new opportunity to remember that He is with you. It is an invitation to remain flexible, allowing God to change your plans if necessary. Divine protection is not just a barrier against evil, but a guidance that illuminates the path. When you surrender, you make space for divine wisdom to act. It is like having a light that guides each step, even when the path seems uncertain. Meditation practices can help solidify this trust. Take a few minutes to reflect and connect with God. Use this time to thank Him for the protection already received, and to ask Him to guide your steps throughout the day. This habit not only strengthens faith but also brings a sense of calm and clarity. By focusing on this connection, you become more aware of the small divine interventions that occur around you. One account that exemplifies this comes from a person who, when facing a difficult decision at work, decided to trust in God. Instead of acting impulsively, she prayed and sought guidance. When she sat down to listen, she realized that the answer came through a casual conversation with a colleague. This interaction, which might have seemed trivial, turned out to be clear direction. God's protection does not come only in moments of crisis, but also in the small decisions of everyday life. Divine protection does not mean we will not face difficulties. Sometimes storms arise and the challenge is to maintain faith. However, even in those moments, trusting in God becomes an encouragement. Remember that He promises to be with us until the end of time. This is the essence of protection. It is not the absence of problems, but the constant presence of God in our lives. As you prepare for the day, create a ritual that reinforces this trust. It could be a prayer upon waking, a verse that you read and repeat, or even a moment of silence to meditate on the protection that God offers. These small acts of faith can have a profound impact on how you face what lies ahead. In the rush of daily life, the connection with God becomes a safe harbor, a place where you can recharge your energies. God's protection is not something we should just wait for. It is a reality we must actively seek. When we trust in Him, we begin to see His hand in every situation, in every challenge. This perception brings a new meaning to life. Instead of being a marathon full of obstacles, each day transforms into a journey with a guide by our side. And so, as you look out the window and see the sun rise, remember this: trusting in God is not just a choice, but a way of life. It is about allowing His protection to guide every step, even when the path seems uncertain. Each morning, make this commitment a priority. Trust, surrender, and watch how divine protection reveals itself in surprising ways. The day begins, and with it come uncertainties and challenges. Many people rise with their heads full of plans and worries. The daily routine seems to demand absolute control, but what if instead you let everything rest in God's hands? Surrender is an act of courage and trust. By trusting in God, you open space for divine protection to truly guide your steps. Imagine waking up and, instead of rushing to meet a tight schedule, you take a pause. Take a deep breath and surrender to a moment of prayer. Surrender does not mean giving up. It is recognizing that there is a greater purpose that we often cannot see. When you surrender, you also relinquish your anxieties and expectations. God's protection reveals itself in the gentleness of details, in the way situations unfold. It is as if an invisible cloak is around you, protecting you from dangers you did not even know existed. Think of an ordinary day. You may have an important commitment, a work meeting, or even a gathering with a friend. Instead of worrying about what could go wrong, trust that God's presence is there. As you take the first steps, feel that protection enveloping you. It is a guidance that manifests in small things. A positive sign in a conversation, unexpected support from someone, or even the solution to a problem that seemed unsolvable. Trusting in God is not just about moments of difficulty, but also about recognizing the beauty of life in the everyday. It is knowing that even in simple situations, His protection is always present. As you walk down the street, for example, notice how you feel lighter when you surrender your day to Him. Each step, each decision becomes clearer. Life transforms into a lit path where you can see God's hand guiding your choices. Trying to control everything can be exhausting. The pressure for everything to turn out perfectly can create unnecessary stress. Surrender, on the other hand, brings a peace that transcends the storms of daily life. When you trust that God has a plan, you begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles. It is an invitation to look beyond the surface, to realize that divine protection can occur in the most unlikely situations. Imagine receiving unexpected news that could steal your peace. Instead of succumbing to despair, you take a deep breath and surrender that situation to God. Divine protection does not eliminate problems, but transforms the way you face them. Trust allows you to see the situation from a new perspective, with the certainty that, regardless of the outcome, you are aligned with a greater purpose. This is not resignation. It is a conscious choice to believe that everything happens for a reason. Another practice that helps cultivate this trust is meditation. Set aside a few minutes in the morning to connect with your faith. Sit in a quiet place, close your eyes, and focus on God's presence. Visualize His protection around you. Feel yourself guided by an energy that directs your steps and calms your mind. This moment of pause can be transformative, creating a space for you to hear and feel God's voice guiding your decisions. Flexibility is an essential part of this surrender. Life does not follow a script, and unforeseen events are inevitable. By opening yourself to change, you allow divine protection to act. Often, what seems to be a negative turn can transform into an opportunity for growth. By allowing yourself to adjust your plans, you demonstrate trust in the directions God may take. Each new experience brings lessons that undoubtedly contribute to your journey. Trusting in God in the morning is an act of courage. It is a reminder that you are not alone. Poems, songs, and stories of faith speak about this intimate and personal relationship. Accounts of divine protection are common, stories of people who, by surrendering their worries, found answers and solutions that seemed impossible. These narratives inspire and show that by trusting, you become part of something greater. And what if all of this were just the beginning? The day progresses and you realize that trust in God is not an isolated event but a way of life. Every step you take, every decision you make, can be permeated by this surrender. Allow divine protection to guide your interactions, your emotions, your thoughts. Throughout the day, when facing challenges, remember that strength comes from trusting in something beyond yourself. When night falls, look back and see how God's protection has been present in every moment. The small victories, the unexpected smiles, the encounters that changed your day. All of this is the result of a continuous surrender. Trust is not a fixed state, but a constant movement. With each dawn, renew this surrender. With every step, feel the protection that comes from God as a constant guide. Tomorrow, when you wake up, make a conscious choice. Trust in God and observe the protection He offers. Let this trust lead your journey, guiding each step with love and wisdom. Enjoy the day that unfolds before you, knowing that regardless of the circumstances, divine protection will always be by your side. Rise tomorrow with the intention of letting God guide your steps. The first thing you can do upon opening your eyes is a brief prayer, something simple yet profound. Ask Him to direct your actions, your thoughts, and your interactions. By doing this, you are making space for divine protection to manifest in your life. Look around you and notice how small details can be signs of God's presence. A smile from a stranger, a moment of tranquility amidst chaos, or even an obstacle that transforms into an opportunity. This perception is an invitation to trust in God. He has plans that go beyond your understanding, and every step you take can be guided by this greater force. During the day, you may encounter decisions that seem challenging. Instead of succumbing to anxiety, take a deep breath and remember that trust in God brings a peace that the world does not offer. When you feel lost, take a pause. Ask yourself, what would God like me to do right now? This reflection can open doors you never imagined. Imagine you have an important commitment. The pressure rises and anxiety emerges. Instead of giving in to the tension, allow yourself a moment of surrender. Close your eyes, breathe, and hand over your worries to the one who knows what is best. With this, you not only feel lighter, but also more connected to divine protection. Every step you take toward your commitment will be guided by this trust. Surrender is not a passive attitude, it is an act of courage. By opening yourself to what God has in store for you, you become flexible, adaptable to the changes that may arise. Often, what we plan does not materialize as we imagined, but that does not mean it is not part of God's plan. Allow yourself to flow. Let His protection envelop you and guide you through the unforeseen. To make this practice part of your daily life, create a special moment for meditation and reflection. Choose a quiet place where you can sit for a few minutes. Close your eyes and focus on your breathing. As you inhale, visualize God's light and protection entering your life. As you exhale, imagine your worries and fears dissipating. This not only calms the mind, but also paves the way for clarity and confidence. Throughout the day, seek moments of gratitude. Acknowledge the small blessings like a hot coffee in the morning or a pleasant conversation with a friend. This practice helps maintain focus on the good things that happen, reinforcing the idea that divine protection is always present. By recognizing these blessings, you strengthen your faith and trust in God. When you face challenges, remember that God's protection does not mean you won't encounter difficulties, but that He will be by your side during every battle. Stories of overcoming are everywhere. Think of people who faced adversities and found strength in their faith. These narratives are powerful reminders that trusting in God can transform the way we deal with obstacles. Trusting in God is a daily act. Each morning brings the opportunity to renew this surrender, to remember that you are not alone. As the day progresses, keep this connection alive. Talk to God informally as you would with a friend. Share your joys, worries, and doubts. This constant communication solidifies your trust and openness to divine protection. As the day comes to an end, reflect on the experiences lived. What have you learned? What steps were guided by God's protection? This practice of reflection helps recognize how far you have come, even if you didn't notice it during the day. Faith is not a straight line. It is full of ups and downs, and it is normal to feel insecure at times. The important thing is to return to the center, to remember that divine protection is always around you. By doing this, you strengthen your trust and allow this certainty to guide your actions. When you trust in God in the morning and observe His protection guiding each step, life gains a new meaning. It is not just an ordinary day, but a journey filled with possibilities. Every decision becomes an opportunity to experience the grace and goodness that come from sincere surrender. Ready to live this experience? Trust in God this morning and see how His protection can guide every step you take.